I could manage fine without do it all, but my nephews tend to get it, so it's around, so I drink it.
I mostly drink water anymore. Like, I used to drink, like, pop of various kinds pretty much all my life.
You just outed yourself as a northern Midwestern person.
And then eventually I just kind of decided that it's probably not the healthiest thing for me, so I stopped. I mostly now drink water. I used to have a Coke Zero every day, just like with dinner. Like, just have like one can, and like that's it. And everything else would just be water. But lately, I haven't even really been having that. Lately, the only time that I'm actually drinking Coke Zero has been before my Monday streams, because I want the caffeine. And then, and like that's it. Every other time I would just have water. I've taken to starting to have tea before Thursday streams and during. Because tea has a bit of caffeine in it, and it's like more, I don't know, more like calming, more soothing.
I'd like to mostly just drink water, but I really hate it when it's not ice cold.
See, I'm lucky enough to have one of those refrigerators with a water dispenser in it. So whenever I want water, it's always like really cold, and I usually drink it like really pretty quickly. Just chug it down.
I also get too focused in what I'm doing, and my drinks tend to just sit there.
Like my
before I remember that I'm thirsty.
Like my tea right now, which is definitely cold.
Yeah.
And I still have like a quarter of a cup left. Are we all done? Am I done? Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to put time on fast again. We do need to run the horses though.
Just warm up your tea with a shot of urine.
It's warm urine.
It's sterile.
It's not actually, by the way. That's a myth.
Your face is a myth.
Who wants to ride horses with me? I need one person
I'm already
to come.
running out there.
Okay. Lost Oak, do you want to ride a horse?
No.
Okay. I guess I'll do it then. And the other thing I'll have before stream, usually just to kind of tide me over, is like a little bag of pretzels, a little like a tiny, like a personal bag of pretzels. Just so I'm not like feeling super hungry. What's that?
How much salt do you have in your diet?
Not that much, to be honest. Certainly less now that I'm not drinking that much Coke. Soft drinks have a lot of salt in them. And sodium. I think I have less salt nowadays. What's that?
You have a lot of non-dietary salt, though.
Do I?
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
It's entertaining on stream, I guess. The car just hit me on the horse.
Is the horse okay? The horse didn't break its leg, did it? We have to put it down if it did. Authorized vehicles only. Well, luckily, I'm not on a vehicle, so...
And
horse.
the horse just climbed a tree again.
These horses are also known as descendants of Roach from The Witcher.
That's why we're breeding them.
Well, I
Or
found
that's
the
problematic if they're both descendants of Roach.
I found Cheyenne Mountain, like you did the other day.
Roach better be their common ancestor, and he better be at least 5 generations back.
I think it is. I think that is the case. Hi, Craig. I'm coming in. I saw that.
Yeah.
Ah. You cut me off.
This is road rash. I'm taking out my chain.
Man, that should be a game. There should be like a Road Rash 1800s where it's just, instead of motorcycles, it's horses, but you're still trying to kick the other person off.
It's called
The,
GT. Called Red Dead Online.
see, our shitty... Is that a UFO I hear?
Maybe. Why?
I hear a chopper. And like a whining noise.
I
The people
don't
who
hear any of that.
are in charge of our entertainment love to redo everything because it's lazy, but if there's actually something that should be redone, like Road Rash, they'll never do it.
Yeah.
You can count on that.
Road Rash doesn't have the potential to draw money.
It could.
I
It
think
could if they just...
Plenty of people would shell out for Road Rash nostalgia
Yeah.
if it's a decent game. The problem with that is that it has to be a decent game.
Yeah. Thing is, like, the original Road Rash was fine. So, like, I don't... Whoa. I don't...
Yeah, they would only have to recreate what already existed,
Yeah.
but they would find some way to shit it up is the problem.
Yeah, that's what they all do. I mean, so many people want, like, remakes of old games, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's the problem is, like, companies feel the need to try to improve on the gameplay when that's not really with, like, modern graphics. But I fear that if they ever did actually do that, they would try to modernize it up, and they would just, like, kind of ruin what made the original feel scary.
Yeah.
I mean, Capcom, I think, did a pretty good job with the remake 1 and 2, or the remake 2 and 3. Although 3 suffered a little bit. 3 actually had some of its content cut. Apparently. We've
Are they
read
gonna
enough, by the way.
do?
We can go back.
Are they gonna do remakes of the entirety of Final Fantasy VII?
Supposedly, but it bothers me. I think another thing I've talked about on the stream before, it bothers me that they decided to split it up.
Well, it's
'Cause,
because
like,
the Final Fantasy isn't actually a remake.
It's more like a redo.
Like a
I don't
total
know.
reimagining.
It kind of, from what I've heard, I haven't played it, but, like, they kind of take the same characters and, like, a vaguely similar story, but, like, go off on their own with it.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of
doesn't-
want to play it, but I don't want to buy each individual quote-unquote episode. I'll just wait until the whole thing is done, which might be like 10 years from now, for all I know.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like a terrible game. I haven't heard terrible things about it, but
Yeah.
it's not like if somebody wants Final Fantasy VII nostalgia, it doesn't seem like it's exactly what most people would want.
Yeah. Are our animals okay? Oh yeah, they got like tons. They got like tons of oat and hay. This one needs to be cleaned now, but I can do that. No, don't go out, horse. Oops.
If you go back and play Final Fantasy VII, the graphics in a lot of it are just terrible.
True.
And there are probably a lot of people who were like, just please remaster this. Don't fuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
And Square was like, okay. Here you go.
Completely redo the story, redo the gameplay completely. You know, I don't mind that they redo the gameplay, but then again, I've made no secret that I'm not really that into the whole like turn-based JRPG kind of system. So I don't mind that they made it a little bit more like direct and action-y. That's actually better for me. But yeah, they definitely changed a lot of stuff. And yeah, they were fine for their time, Giant Nerd Guy. They had like they had pretty nice pre-rendered backgrounds. They had you know, they had like the different
when it came out.
Yeah, they had like different I like that they had different designs depending on like what you were doing. Like they had the very simplified designs when you were walking around, and they went into like the slightly more like detailed designs when you went into a fight. I kind of like that. Alright, both horses back in. This stuff is still growing. Some of the oats are done. But we're gonna wait. Let's speed up time a little bit more. And you know, the thing is, the whole JRPG, the whole turn-based or active battle system thing, like, I generally don't like it, but there are games where that I very much enjoy that have that same kind of feel. Like, for instance, one of my favorite games continues to be Chrono Trigger. I love that game, even though it has the same exact kind of system. It has the same, like, ATB or whatever system. And yet, I'm fine with it there. And yet, I find myself being unable to really get into other, like, JRPGs because of that system. So I'm not, like, I don't really know what the difference is, like why I like one and not another.
Suikoden is great, and it has that system, but it also has a bunch of other systems that you use at other times. Like it has traditional JRPG fights, but it also has army battles, duels. Stuff like that.
I had a friend who was like super into Suikoden back in the day.
Yeah.
He loved 1 and 2. He was always obsessed with getting like all of the like 80-some characters.
108.
Yeah, well, whatever. However many there are. I know Chrono Cross did something like that.
To get the true endings, you have to get all the characters before a certain point in the game.
I know Chrono Cross kind of jumped on that trend a little bit by having like a zillion characters that you could potentially get, even though you could only ever have like 3 on your party at a time.
Yeah.
You could get them. You actually can't get all of the characters.
Isn't one of the characters like Magus in disguise?
In Cross?
Yeah. Wasn't he like rumored to be like Magus from Chrono Trigger, but like in disguise, so like he was known as something else? Can't remember his name now.
It's true that you can't get all the characters this weekend too. There's like
You're quiet again,
two
Rick.
that you. There's like 1 or 2 characters this weekend that you have to choose between one person or another person. So you can't really get all of them, but almost all of them.
Hmm.
The Suikoden stories were really special too, compared to most other RPGs. Especially 2.
I like Legend of Mana, but that's not really. I mean, it is a JRPG, but it doesn't use the more traditional system.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to get the remake that just came out or is coming out very soon. But I don't know. It's not really a remake. It's a remaster. They just basically HDified most of the graphics and added like a anime intro. But I think even all the music is the same because I watched the new redone intro and like yeah, it's all animated and stuff now, but the music is exactly the same, which is 100% fine with me. I like the music. Legend of Mana soundtrack was one of the first game soundtracks I ever bought.
We appear to have a doomsday shelter up on this hill.
Crops are
In
in.
case the apocalypse comes.
Crops in! I'm gonna set a guy going on oats so we can put that in the silo, and then we can gather up all of the soybeans. You never seen a game soundtrack? There used to be a Diner guy saying that. There used to be a it was like an anime store near me, but it wasn't really a store. I think it was one of those that was like they did like wholesale business to other like shops, like they would sell to comic book shops or whatever around the place. But they had like a front end that I don't really think that they liked people going into, but I would go there sometimes and buy stuff, and that's where I bought the Legend of Mana. I think I bought Chrono Cross soundtrack there too. I bought a few Gunpla kits there as well when I was a kid.
Sounds like a front for the mafia.
Well, it's one of those things where, like I said, I think they mostly sold to other shops, and even though they had the kind of front end where they had some stuff on display, it's not really, they didn't really do like customers, like regular customers a lot.
If you have a front end, then you should be glad about serving people. Otherwise, just don't have the front end.
You should, but
Otherwise, I assume you're a front for the mafia.
I mean, the front end also might be for like other business owners to come in and see what kinds of things that they can buy for to sell in their own business. You know what I mean? Like a showroom kind of thing. I did a lot of the time. I kind of got the impression that even though I was there as a paying customer, they weren't like, they didn't necessarily want me to be there as a normal like single customer. They never said it, but like I kind of got that impression.
That is exactly what a front for the mafia would be like.
I don't think they're there anymore. I don't even remember what their name was. But I mean, I can just order stuff online nowadays. I mean, I could back then. It was just better to go someplace and get it immediately.
That was absolutely a money laundering business.
I think they might have gone to cons sometimes too. But I don't think I ever saw them at a con. I think maybe like once. Because I used to go to anime cons more than I do now, which is not at all, but back in the early 2000s, I would go to anime cons a lot more often than I do now, which again is pretty much never. Not in the last 10 years. But anyway, yeah, that's where I got my first anime soundtrack, and that's because I mean, I don't know, not anime soundtrack, game soundtrack, because you can't really find game soundtracks in like a normal store. They don't sell them because they're usually Japan only.
What are you getting at, Jared Nerd Guy? Why was no one surprised when they had an electrical fault?
Jenner Guy says there was a beauty salon in the mini mall where he used to work. Nobody was surprised when they had an electrical fault, quote unquote. But yeah, nowadays if I want a game soundtrack, I could just order it online, or more likely, because I'm a cheap bastard, I'll just rip it from the game files, which I've done before. I did that for the 3 separate Soul Blade soundtracks, because in the game Soul Blade for the PlayStation, they had like 3 completely separate soundtracks that you could activate in the game. And so there was a program I found that let you just like rip the files like from the game disc. And so that's what I did. Like ripped all of them, and I labeled all of them myself. And I have actually had those files for a very long time, and I only recently replaced them with actual like good versions. I like the music from that game. I'm not, oddly enough, I'm not like super into the music from like Soul Calibur and on. Like I'm sure it's fine music, but for some reason the music from Soul Blade is just like ingrained into my brain. I think I just plain prefer it more. I like the Con Super Session songs too. Nobody here knows what the hell I'm talking about.
No. Seems like most games that reach legendary status have to have really good music, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think music is a big part of why Final Fantasy is continues to be such a big franchise. I mean, say what you want about the gameplay, but the music is pretty much always right on point.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, that too. Silent Hill.
Speaking of music is good.
Silent Hill games, Metal Gear Solid games have memorable music.
Giant Nerd Guy refuses to explain his cryptic comment.
Giant Nerd Guy says he just found out his little cousin delivered his daughter himself before the midwife showed up. How little is your cousin if he has a daughter though?
Don't ask.
2 inches. That's how tall his cousin is. He's actually little.
Yeah, Chrono Cross as well, or Chrono Cross, yeah, but Chrono Trigger. I meant to say Chrono Trigger, but Chrono Cross music is also really good. Secret of Mana and Legend of Mana music is really good. Basically any Square RPG has really good music.
Giant Nerd Guy, explain your cryptic beauty salon comment. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
But it's funny because like as much as I love like old Final Fantasy music, like from like 6 and 7, I really feel like currently the top of my favorite Final Fantasy soundtrack list is definitely 14, like by far.
Because Soken's a madman.
He is. He's a mad genius.
Even though it's not really a game yet, I like some of the Star Citizen music.
Yeah, I think Pedro Camacho does pretty good stuff. That's his name. He was on they did a live thing with him a couple weeks ago. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. I think he's been in videos before.
Yeah.
just not very often.
I think he's done like other stuff before, hasn't he? Like other games and stuff.
I
Like
know
Star
he
Citizen is
has.
not the
I'm
only
not
thing he's
sure
done.
what. I'll look it up.
How's this guy doing? He's not even not even a quarter done. I guess I'll go help with the wood.
He worked on The Witcher
Actually.
3.
Did he? Did he do The Witcher 3 or did he just work on some of the songs? Like did he do like the entire thing?
I'll check. He's worked on Shadowlands.
Because they can't get Jeremy Soule back for World of Warcraft. He doesn't give a shit anymore. He's too busy doing
Blizzard doesn't
Elder
actually give a
Scrolls.
shit anymore.
Yeah,
He's too
nobody
busy
gives
doing
a
Elder
shit.
Scrolls music. What is Jeremy Soule even doing lately? I feel like I haven't heard his name in a while.
Pedro contributed to Wolfenstein, or Bethesda's Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
Which I have not played.
It doesn't really say how much of a soundtrack he did. It just says what he's worked on.
Mm.
Witcher 3, Civilization 5. Commercials for Gatorade.
I mean, you know, gotta get paid.
Dubai Expo and Vodafone.
All right, so what has Jeremy Soule been doing lately? Last thing I remember him doing was Guild Wars 2, but like, I'm sure he's done something else since then.
There's nothing listed past 2019 for Jeremy Soule.
And then what was it? What were the things that he's done past Guild Wars 2?
Well, the last event on this timeline on Wikipedia is him being accused of something,
Oh, okay. Well,
so he may have been cancelled.
unfortunate, but it does happen.
He signed an MMO exclusivity deal for EverQuest Next and Landmark.
Oh no. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Composed a Dota 2 music pack. Virtual reality game The Gallery. I've heard of that. Another game called Consortium The Tower. And a documentary.
I see.
Then he was accused of sexual misconduct.
Ouch.
And I don't see anything after that.
Well,
From August 2019.
even good artists can be bad human beings.
I think it's actually more likely for a good artist to be a bad human being.
Maybe.
than average.
And then you look at someone like Soken, who is an amazing human being and a really good artist. Oh, I'm hearing that like helicopter sound now. What's that?
Ooh, Soken.
Soken is the guy who does Final Fantasy XIV's music.
No.
He is he's goofy, but he does amazing music. He's goofy and he has a lot of fun. Like, did you see the this is some of the footage from the FanFest this year?
No. I'm not paying attention.
I'll link you to that later on. It's just he's crazy, he's wacky, and yet he also does really good music. And then there was also the
artists have to be strange in some way to be really effective. So it's probably good that he's goofy.
yeah,
Rather than like some other much worse
reclusive or like mean or something.
or sex pesty.
Oh yeah, that too. But there was also the revelation from Soken at this year's FanFest. It kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I think even most of the staff that was there didn't know about it until he said it right there on stage.
No, the only one that knew was Yoshida himself.
Yeah, Yoshida and the
and
CEO.
he requested that that no one know because he wanted everyone to work as they had been and not affect their performance knowing.
Yeah, so
knowing.
Soken had cancer, and he had to be in the hospital for like an extended stay for his for treatment. And he the only two people he told was Yoshida, who is the director of the game, and the Square Enix CEO, his boss of his boss. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll have to we'll have to get someone else in to start doing music. And Soken was like, no, I still want to work. You'll just have to like set me up here in the hospital and I'll continue working in the hospital. And they were very against it, but Soken convinced them to do that. And so that's what he did. And he said not to tell anybody because he didn't want anyone to like treat him any differently or kind of stop working or do things differently because he was in the hospital. Maybe they thought that he would be like too weak or whatever to continue. He didn't want people to do that. So he never told anybody until this year's FanFest. It was a real emotional moment, I'll tell you what, because I was watching that live as he was doing it. It was during the closing ceremonies. It was like at some o'clock in the morning. It was like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning because they were on like Japan time, and they were doing the closing ceremonies, and he came out with it, and it was just like, man, like holy shit.
Is there anything we need to be doing right now?
No, I'm waiting for the guy to finish harvesting the oats, and then after that, I'm gonna get him to harvest the soybeans here, and we can sell that. Otherwise, we could have Lost Joke with the wood, I guess. We're kind of doing nothing. There's not really that much else to do. We only have the one harvester.
Suddenly my chainsaw works.
Yeah.
It didn't work before.
Oh.
Like,
Weird.
you know that indicator that pops up where you're gonna cut?
Yeah.
That never showed up for me before.
Oh. That's weird.
I would sometimes be able to cut, but I never saw that indicator. And other times I just couldn't cut no matter what angle I tried.
Lost Joke, how are you doing?
Struggling.
Are you? Why is that?
I'm trying to pick up this log, but it's not letting me pick it up. It's not too big. I know it's not too big. It's just like it doesn't exist for me.
There's probably something like on the bottom of it. Here, let me alter it very slightly. There you go.
We've still got a lot of wood we have to transport away from this field.
Yeah.
You want to see something cool?
Okay.
You'll probably want to be in the car.
There we go.
Now you get to see what I'm doing whenever I take wood to the lumberyard.
Alright.
Although I think my load isn't as heavy.
You all out of
just don't
loads?
invite me.
Wee! I mean, that's kind of what I was doing. Whenever I made it try, I didn't do it on purpose though.
Do it on purpose every time.
Leaving. This guy's almost done with this.
What did he do?
He just flipped over. He's flipped over a lot. Because the load in the back of the truck is really heavy.
Share the load.
Share the load. I'm gonna finish this.
Oh no, we lost one.
Oh no.
We lost a couple.
This other field has a spraying system on rails for the whole thing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's just decoration. I don't think it actually works. But that is a real thing. Like I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that kind of thing.
I've seen it a million times. How could this be farming simulator if you can't have those sprayer things on wheels?
There's a lot of things that Farming Simulator kind of is missing.
Weird.
So here's something that you can do when I rent the thing again. You can start picking up this straw at field 4. I'm gonna move this harvester over and empty it out, and then start a worker on field 9.
Will I pick up the thing from the store?
Yeah, let me run it. It is... I always forget where it is. Loading wagon, here we go. Lease for 2,300. Alright, it's at the store. Ah. Get out of the way.
You're the one who's in the way.
Share the load, Mr. Frodo. I like Sean Astin. I like his roles in general. I like when I see him in a movie or a show, since he was in Stranger Things.
Ah, Bob. Bob was the real hero.
He was.
We have crates just sitting here at the store.
Yeah, I know. It's herbicide and liquid fertilizer. I just haven't taken him back yet. I could do that, I guess, once I get this guy going, I can go pick that stuff up. There we go. Okay, this guy's going. I will take the other tractor and pick up that stuff and drop it off here. Last joke? Were you gonna
What?
ask for help, or...?
I know what I'm doing.
Oh, there was a
No,
lamppost.
you made it worse.
There's a lamppost in the way. Can you... Uh-oh. Do you want me to push you away from it?
I had it, and then you ruined it.
There you go. He lost a couple pieces of wood over here. There you go. People have been talking about Raul Julia lately, making me want to watch the Addams Family movies again.
You should always watch the Addams Family.
Should. They were good movies. They were They were better than they had any right to be. Like, who would have thought a movie remake of a show from the 60s would be, like, really good? They found a way. And that way was the cast.
24/7, 52.
Just always have it on your second monitor.
Even while you're watching other things.
Yes. Giant Nerd Guy says, looks like Lost Oaks got himself in a whole mess of trouble.
This is what
How's
happens
Lost Oak gonna
when
get
you
himself out
actually
of
like
this one?
cast great people for great roles.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, oddly enough, Sean Astin's dad, John Astin, who was the original Gomez, he was great in that show, don't get me wrong, but whenever I think of Gomez Addams, it's pretty much always going to be Raul Julia. Oddly enough, whenever I think of John Astin, I always think of his role in The Frighteners as the judge.
Hollywood doesn't believe in great people or great roles anymore.
You're quiet again, Craig. I don't know why. Like,
You,
it's like a cycle. Sometimes you're quiet, and sometimes you're loud. It's an unending cycle.
Hollywood's really into the whole shitty people in shitty roles thing.
They do it because they're like, this is not what people are expecting, so that must mean it's must be really good. They don't realize that no, it's not always the case. In fact, it's probably rarely the case.
Sometimes the expectation that something isn't going to be shit shouldn't be subverted.
Yeah.
I am full of straw.
How much do we have? Before you dump it in there, see how much we have. If we still have like 10,000 liters or whatever, just friggin' go sell it. It's not gonna get us that much, but like...
I don't even know how to check.
You might actually have to dump it. Here, I can check. It's in the like prices thing in the main menu, and it's on the top under where it says straw. It doesn't say straw, but We currently have...
Helper has encountered a problem.
Damn, we currently have 128,000 liters of straw. I think that you can just sell all of the straw that we currently have.
Alright.
Or at least all the straw from that field.
What problem did the helper encounter?
I don't know. I just saw Helper has encountered
It's probably
a problem.
still the trees. Last joke, when you come back to gather more trees, will you just go ahead and do the trees that are right next to the field? Just to get those cleaned up, because I think that might be causing the issue.
No, I know what the problem was.
What?
It was me playing chicken with the helper.
God damn it.
Alright, so where do I take this then?
Let me see. Who is currently buying it? Livestock Market Barn is currently buying it for $74. It's not much. But I mean, what else are we gonna do with it? We have so much otherwise. We don't need that much. You saying Helper has encountered a problem just makes me think of Venture Brothers.
Rip Venture Brothers.
I still have not seen the last season. Guess I should watch it at some point.
Why watch Venture Brothers when you can watch such classics as Star Trek Lower Decks?
Because that like requires me to have, what is it, like a Paramount subscription or something, or whatever it's attached to.
That's the only reason you can think of.
I don't want 1,000,001 subscriptions to services.
You're breathing pretty hard into the mic, by the way, Craig.
This is why I'm always quiet. I'm either quiet or it's right in front of my breath.
You gotta find the middle ground. You gotta find that sweet spot.
We'll find your sweet spot.
Please do after the stream.
I don't think it's going to be too long before Twitch just gives up and lets us do sexually explicit things on stream.
I mean, we
they
already
won't
got the
do
hot
it.
tubs.
There's no money in it.
There's no money in
Oh,
it?
there
Are
is.
you sure about that? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of money in it.
Tell that to OnlyFans.
OnlyFans is a bit different though. Like you have to pay right off the bat for OnlyFans. Whereas Twitch you can just come in and get advertised to and just watch it for free.
So I just dump into this grate at
Yes, hold on, let me see.
the livestock market barn.
Yeah, there should be a grate there. You just kind of dump right into it. It should give you the prompt when you're like in the right spot.
It says TMR pig food sell point.
Wait a minute.
Maybe that's not the right place.
No, that should be the right place. There's only one. There's only the one there. It's like if you're going to like where the animals are, and then like you keep on kind of going north slightly, and there's like a little grate there. That's it.
All right. Well, I'm not getting.
It's like
a
on the
prompt,
side of
so
the
I'm just
building
gonna
there?
have to manually dump that there.
That's fine. As long as it goes into the crate, I think that you're fine.
You guys want me to temper your perception?
Oh,
In
what?
what way?
When you look at the pickup truck,
Straw is
Try-
not acceptable.
try and not think of it as Hank's truck from King of the Hill.
That truck ain't right.
No, the boy ain't right.
There are some squares on the ground here. I think I have to put it in one of these.
No. I've never sold straw there, so I don't know.
Here we go. Yeah, there are just some squares on the ground along the building. The one further
Alright.
back is for straw.
Helper F has nearly a full grain tank. Oh, tell you what. Aren't they gonna, like, bring that show back? Aren't they, like, planning on bringing that show back?
They shouldn't.
Why not?
Because it doesn't need to come back.
They'll just ruin it.
They probably will, yeah.
You know what amuses me the most about King of the Hill?
Other than it's good writing and funny cast of characters?
No, about its existence.
No, what's that?
Apparently, in Japan, they have the subs versus dubs argument, but for King of the Hill.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Even when Mike Judge, like, did something with Beavis and Butthead recently, he kind of fucked it.
I don't even know what he did. I haven't been following that at all. What did he do with Beavis and Butthead?
I don't remember the particulars, but I remember him being dumbassedly censorious about it.
Hmm.
I could be wrong, but because I didn't pay much attention, but I think he was doing stupid shit with it. Like he no longer even liked his own show, so he was kind of
Yeah, I could see that.
changing it. So yeah, nowadays you can't even trust the original creator to add to something that they did a while ago.
Yeah, I think the trees are definitely making the helper do weird things, though. He just did like a really weird U-turn, I think, because of the trees that are here.
It's just pathfinding.
Speaking of that, did you ever see The Legend of Beavis?
No, I've seen The Legend of Cornholio. I mean, you know, in the show.
You've got to
But
watch
no.
The Legend of Beavis. It's on
Okay.
YouTube. I'll link it.
Here lies Beavis, he never scored.
Remind me to send you the Soken FanFest stuff, and then you can send me The Legend of Beavis. I'm sure that they're very different things.
You're covering a strange range of emotions.
Am I?
Nah, they're more or less the same thing. What would you guess The Legend of Beavis is?
I would guess that it's like a, I don't know, a clip of some kind.
Really?
Yeah.
A clip of some kind.
Like a clip show, like a series of funny Beavis moments, or that were like maybe arranged in a
No.
in a kind of story format.
Way better than that. The Legend of Beavis is the Legend of Zelda cartoon, but instead of Link's voice, it's Beavis.
Oh, I've actually seen that. I have actually seen that. I remember that. It's been a while, but I remember that.
It's great.
Get a real man's horn.
Doesn't really sound that great as a horn.
Pretty sure actual tractors have a more substantial sounding horn than that.
No true tractor fallacy.
Lost jokes gatekeeping tractors over here.
Very rude of him.
Very, very rude.
We don't discriminate against weak-horned tractors on this farm, last joke.
I do.
You're not allowed to, though.
Stop me.
We're gonna have to write you up.
I'm gonna dock your pay.
I don't even get paid.
It might drop below 0 to negative.
Yeah. Then you're gonna owe us some money.
With what money?
You're gonna have to get a second job on another farm. Where you might also make negative money. The correct answer to subs versus dubs is subs, though.
I wouldn't agree with that. I don't think that there is a one-fits-all correct answer to subs versus dubs. I think that's sometimes...
Yeah, there is.
Sometimes dubs can be better than the original voice, and sometimes subs are the way to go.
It's theoretically possible, but in practice, it's very unlikely.
Well, I would
Especially
say...
considering the
Yes?
how Western studios change content sometimes, even.
I would say Cowboy Bebop, the dub, is better than the sub. I might also say the same for Ghost of the Shell, to be honest.
It is much more likely if we're talking about old shows. But for a new show, I wouldn't trust any Western company not to fuck with it.
Well, I would also say that, like, I mean, when I'm watching, for instance, any, like, Gundam show, I'm always sub on that. Like, none of the dubs have been particularly good ever, and plus there are so many, like, recurring characters who end up in the dubs having, like, a different voice actor when it's supposed to be the same. It's just...
Yeah, that's another bad thing about the Western industry. They do a lot of recasts. A lot more than it seems like Japan does.
Well, I think part of that is because in Japan they have, you know, Japan is not a big country, and so they just have the one voice acting industry, essentially. Whereas Westerners, we have West Coast, we have East Coast, we have people in Texas, we have people in the UK who do, you know, voice acting.
Yeah.
It's like all over the place, and sometimes companies move and they can't reasonably get all the same people. Like, that's one of the things that happened with Final Fantasy XIV, which is actually, I think, a good thing, because I don't think the American dubbing was that great. But when A Realm Reborn came out, they did it with an American voice acting, you know, company. And some of the voices were fine, others were not that great. And then when they went on to Heavensward, they fully changed over to a UK-based voice acting company. And so all of the voices were different, but at the same time, I think all of the voices sounded a lot more good and authentic and better to listen to.
I've gotten in a fender bender and I'm stuck.
How?
I'm literally stuck on someone's car. Okay, never mind. I think I'm getting out.
Okay. I can come help you
Okay,
as
yeah, I
soon
got
as this
off
is
it.
done.
I was pretty well stuck, but I managed to work it off.
We're definitely going to skip to the next day before we reseed these fields. Bug flying in my face. because we need to do the horses again. We need to keep that going. Everybody say they like Merlveep's American voice actress better, but I don't know. She barely has any lines in the in anything past that. She barely talks past A Realm Reborn. She does sometimes, but barely. Roban definitely doesn't sound as good as the new one. It sounded kind of weird. Which is weird because the voice actor for Roban in A Realm Reborn is the guy who sang the Shadowbringers theme song. Same guy. He also did Rules of Nature from Metal Gear Rising. He's great. He's great as a singer. I don't know if I particularly like him as a voice actor, but maybe he's better. Maybe he's gotten better since then. It has been like 7 years. Where am I going? Where am I going with this? Where am I taking this? Soybeans. Who's got the good soybeans? Oh my god. Alright, well, transport company has... It's going down, which is unfortunate, but I'll take it to the transport company. They actually had some voice actor overlap for Ghost in the Shell for A Realm Reborn. Like the Major's English voice, who's also a singer, by the way, did the voice of Heidelin, and then we had Bateau's English voice did Gaius, Ben Balsar. All the others that I just don't really recognize. But it's funny because in the Japanese voices, there's a lot of really kind of famous people. Like, for instance, the guy who does Gaius Van Balsar, his Japanese voice, is also the Japanese Solid Snake for all of those games. Oops. He also does Japanese Bateau from Ghost of the Shell, so that fits. And then the Japanese La Habrea is Char from Gundam. Same guy. Oops. The guy who does Emmett Selk, the Japanese guy, is also Ryu from the last bunch of Street Fighter games.
The straw is done.
We got less than $1,000 for that straw. We got $12,000
That
from
was
this
for the
soybean.
last. That was for the last load. That wasn't
Oh,
full.
okay.
We were getting like 1,200 for
Okay.
a full load, and I did 2 full loads and a partial.
Oh, that's not bad then. It's actually more than I expected.